Happy Friday. You know I'm back with another First Chapter Friday. This is another great read from the 2023 Mark Twain nominated books. This is one of the 12, and this is Pony by R.J. Palacio. You might remember R.J. Palacio. I talked about her a lot last year. She is the author of the book Wonder, which is of course also a movie. She's also the author of Whitebird, the graphic novel. If any of my World War II loving friends have read that one, the graphic novel. This book is very different from either of those. I really thought we were going to be getting something like that from R.J. Palacio, but it's really different. But it's beautiful writing. It's really well done. It has a lot of different elements in it. So it's hard for me to tell you what genre it is because it's realistic fiction. It's something that could kind of maybe happen to some of you, some of the pieces of it. It's a mystery. You're trying to solve what happened to this group of Rough Riders. You're also trying to, there's some spooky, scary horror aspects to this book. You're also going to learn a little bit. There's some history in here, so it's a little bit of historical fiction. There are a lot of different components of it, and it's just a really well-written, well-put-together story. This is Pony by R.J. Palacio. I'm going to read the inside cover and then show you a little bit of the pictures and how it's written, because it's a little different than some other stories, okay? But just a really great book. 12-year-old Silas is awoken in the dead of night by 3 horsemen who arrive unannounced to take his father away. Silas is left shaken, scared, and alone, except for the presence of his companion, Mittenwool, who happens to be a ghost. But when a pony shows up at his door, Silas knows that what he has to do. He will set out on a perilous journey across a vast American landscape to find his father, a journey that will ultimately connect him with his past and future, and the unfathomable mysteries of the world around him. R.J. Palacio spins a harrowing yet distinctly beautiful tale about the power of love and the ties that bind us across distance and time. For those who love the poignant depths of the war horse and the singular voice of true grit, this is one of those rare books for readers of all ages with the makings of a modern classic. So a lot of people are saying really great stuff about this book, that it is just an excellent read. Let me show you a little bit about the inside. So here's some of the title pages. And then you're gonna get some pieces, like poetry and pieces of history to introduce each chapter. So like to introduce the book, here is some really old pictures. And Silas's dad is a photographer a long time ago. And so you're gonna get photos on every page. But this is like before photography was an easy thing, before we had them on our phones. And so the story is based in the 1800s, okay? And I'm going to read you this passage here, which is intended to be an excerpt, like a piece of an old newspaper, and then a little bit of the first chapter. Here we go. From the Boneville Courier, April 27th, 1858. A country boy of 10 living near Boneville was recently walking to his house in the vicinity of a large oak tree when a violent storm arose. The boy took refuge beneath the tree scant moments before it was struck by lightning, sending the boy tumbling to the earth. As if lifeless, his clothes smoked to cinders. Fortune smiled upon the child that day, however, for his quick-witted father, having witnessed the event, was able to revive him by means of a fireplace bellows. The child remained unaltered by the experience afterward, but for one peculiar souvenir. An image of a tree had become emblazoned upon his back. This tattoo by lightning is one of several documented in recent years, making it yet another wondrous curiosity of science. And I'm going to chapter 1. It was my bout with lightning that inspired Pa to become immersed in the photographic sciences, which is how this all began. Pa had always had a natural curiosity about photography, having come from Scotland, where such arts flourish. He dabbled in daguerreotypes for a short while, don't know what that is, after settling in Ohio, a region naturally full of salt springs. from which comes the agent bromine, an essential component of the developing process. But daguerreotypes were an expensive enterprise that turned very little profit, and Pa did not have the means to pursue it. So it's like pictures. People haven't the money for delicate souvenirs, he reasoned, which is why he became a bootmaker. People always have a need for boots, he said. Pa's specialty was the calf-high Wellington in grain leather, to which he added a secret compartment in the heel for the storing of tobacco or a pocket knife. This convenience was greatly desired by customers, so we got by pretty well on those boot orders. Pa worked in the shed next to the barn, and once a month he traveled to Boneville with a cart full of boots pulled by our mule, whose name was Mule. But after lightning imprinted my back with the image of an oak tree, Pa once again turned his attention to the science of photography. It was his belief that the image on my skin had come there as a consequence of the same chemical reactions at play in photography. The human body, he told me as I watched him mixing chemicals that smelled of rotten eggs and cider vinegar, is a vessel full of the same mysterious substances, subject to the same physical laws as everything else in the universe. If an image can be preserved by the action of light upon your body, it can be preserved by the same action upon paper. That is why it was not daguerreotypes that drew his interest anymore, but a new form of photography involving paper soaked in a solution of iron and salt, to which is transferred, by means of sunlight, a positive image from a glass negative. Pa quickly mastered the new science and became a highly regarded practitioner of the collodion process, as it was called, an art form hardly seen in these parts. It was a bold field, requiring great experimentation and resulting in pictures most astounding in their beauty. Pa's iron types, as he called them, had none of the exactitude of daguerreotypes, but were imbued with subtle shadings that made them look like charcoal art. He used his own proprietary formula for the sensitizer, which is where the bromine came in, and applied for a patent before opening a studio in Boneville, down the road from the courthouse. In no time at all, his iron-dusted paper portraits became quite the rage around here, for not only were they infinitely cheaper than daguerreotypes, but they could be reproduced over and over again from a single negative. Adding even more to their allure, and for an extra charge, Pa would tint them with a mix of egg wash and color pigment, which gave them a lifelike semblance, most extraordinary to behold. People traveled from all over to have their portraits taken. One fancy lady came all the way from Akron for a sitting. I assisted in Pa's studio, adjusting the skylight and cleaning the focusing plates. A few times Pa even let me polish the new brass portrait lens, which had been a major investment in the business and required delicacy in its handling. Such had our circumstances turned, Pa's and mine, that he was contemplating selling his bootmaking enterprise altogether, for he said he much preferred the smell of mixing potions to the stink of people's feet. It was at this time in our lives we're forever changed by the pre-dawn visitation of 3 riders and a bald-faced pony. Okay, I know that chapter felt like a lot, but I've already read it to you now, so come try the rest of it. Basically, all he was getting down to is his dad had figured out a way to take pictures. Okay, photography is not as easy as it used to be. I would love to go over that process with you more if you're into this book, but it gets really good. It gets really creepy at some spots. It's just a really great story. So come down and try RJ Palacios' Pony. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.